a picture of my family and my two kiddos. My husband Nick and I, we both live in Washington. We grew up in Washington, and we live there now. We actually just bought a new house. We've been living at my parents' for the time being, which is a lot of fun during this time. So my son Knox is just about 9 months old, and my daughter Blakely is 3. She will be going to preschool this upcoming fall.
My husband Pat and I, we actually both grew up here and both graduated from Highland. And we are lucky enough that we live within a couple miles of our families, both of our families, which is fantastic. So you can see in the picture there, I've got my daughter Grace, our son Aiden, and our son Maxton. Okay, so we'll continue.
Okay, we are going to go through a typical day, what kindergarten would look like for your kid, what all our curriculum is, and just a few additional things you might, so you can kind of get a look into what our day looks like. You might see some of your kiddos that you've had that have been in kindergarten previously. These are some older pictures. Go ahead, Rebecca.
I think you're muted.
I had such good things going too. Sorry, guys. Okay, so our opening activities that we started just in the last couple of years, we started doing something called directed drawing in the first thing in the morning for our brain breakfast. So basically what we're doing is we're teaching the students how to draw different things using shapes, which then in turn will help them to be able to produce letters and numbers a whole lot easier, because shapes and letters and numbers have the same sort of lines. From there, we also work into calendar, weather, and counting days of school. So a lot of fun stuff happening first thing in the morning. Another reason why, just going to put a little plug in, super important to have your kiddo there on time, because they miss out on a lot of stuff first thing in the morning.
And the school day starts at 8 o'clock. Will that be the same in the fall, Jane?
They'll enter the building at 8. You're actually tardy at 8:10.
Okay. All right, moving in. Jolly Phonics is our curriculum we use to teach your kiddos their sounds, that letters make, and the names of them. We'll learn 42 sounds through use of songs, motions, and stories. So your kiddos will be coming home probably showing you a bunch of different motions with their hands, and telling you a sound with it. So for example, S makes a S sound. They would move their hand in the shape of an S. So they're using their whole body to make that connection and learning the sounds. And we say 42 sounds, even though there's only 26 letters in the alphabet. It's because we teach them teams as well, like TH, SH, CH. There's vowel teams we teach them as well. After they've got their sounds down, they would start to learn to read and write words through Jolly Phonics. And then later on in the year, they would start to learn more tricky words or sight words, and applying them after they've got their sounds down. And we do go through the sounds twice. We get through all of them once, and then we dive in a little bit deeper, just to make sure that the kiddos got them before we go into reading and writing.
Kind of go along with the Jolly Phonics, that second round, we go through and we differentiate the students as well. So those that are needing more practice with their Jolly Phonics sounds, they are allowed more practice to go to help them along with that. And those that have pretty much have them mastered, we allow them to dive in deeper to really push into that reading and writing at when they're ready. So that's a cool thing that I think we do a really good job at. And then after that is recess. And we are so excited that we're still hoping, fingers crossed, that our new playground is going to be put in place this summer. Jane, can I say that that's going to happen?
They're supposed to start construction next week.
Awesome. So
Woo.
that is going to be super exciting. I know that the preschoolers, first of all, get so excited when they finally get to play on the big playground, but they are going to get the new playground, which is pretty awesome. So we'll have 3 recesses a day. So when the weather starts to get colder, boots, snow pants, snow pants, gloves, all that. Super important because we'll spend time outside.
Okay, our curriculum we use for literacy reading is Treasures. During this time, there'll be whole group instruction, different stories read throughout the week, reading comprehension strategies, theme-based literature from a variety of genres. There is stories read from an anthology. We use big books. There's poems added in it. There's a bunch of different reading things we add in during our literacy block. Systematic vocabulary instruction is implemented during that time, and then there's also written responses to some of the books as well.
Okay, so then another big part of our day is what we call our blueprint, or what we used to call our daily 5 center time. So basically that is when our students are learning independence with tasks, with literacy tasks to expand their knowledge, but also gives the teacher the opportunity to work in small group instruction with students to give them instruction at their level. We've been working really hard the last 2 years with our students, and it is absolutely amazing to see that the students can go through and cycle through doing word work activities, being able to manipulate sounds, to practice sounding out words, for them to even be able to read to a partner. And that looks different in the lower grades like us, but it's going through and practicing letter sounds and practicing sight words with a partner. And we are even lucky enough that we have iPads designated strictly for kindergarten. So they get the opportunity to listen to stories through iReady and other opportunities during that time. And that makes it really awesome. Then the teacher, like I said, can go through whole individual groups, work with students one-on-one, and help to expand their knowledge.
Lunch and recess. So since we are not able to have like a kindergarten roundup like we typically do, I imagine the first day of kindergarten will be a little rough in the lunchroom, which, you know, they've never been through the lunchroom before. So allowing them to get their tray, fork, spoon, milk all by themselves, walk through the line and find their spot to sit. Mrs. Yoder and I are in there as well as extra help helping your kiddo the first couple weeks. But it would be helpful if you would start preparing your kid for lunch, getting started eating right away. I know it's very exciting for them once they sit down and they're with their friends and it's something new that they forget to eat. And then when they're released to go to recess, a lot of them try and rush or dump their trays and get out there. So I would encourage you to start this summer setting a timer for your kid and making sure that they can open all of their materials on their own. Open a milk carton, open cheese sticks, open like bags of chips, especially if they bring a lunch from home. Having them be ready for that is so helpful for us teachers. That way they can do it on their own rather than us trying to run around and help them. So like I said, set a timer, meaning that they are, after they eat for 15 minutes, they're allowed to go outside to recess, but they can sit and finish their lunch. But you know, kids, as soon as they're told, oh, you can go play, a lot of them might want to go do that. So I'd say 15 minutes, encouraging them to start eating right away, and definitely less talking with the kids across from them, which at home, I know there's not other kids to chat with really. But so anything else you want to add to that, Rebecca?
I would just say, when it comes to, like, a lot of you right now, I think are getting some of the lunches that are being provided by the school. And these are actually like the milk cartons and the cheese sticks and all that. Those are perfect opportunities for you to practice right now, because they are kind of tricky. And a lot of our preschoolers coming in already get practice with that because of preschool. And I don't know, I know in past years, they used to have straws in preschool. I don't know if they have those anymore, but we will not have straws available for them. So teaching them to open up just one side of the milk carton, drink from one side instead of opening up the whole thing and making a bigger mess, that can that can be kind of problematic. So, and the kids are always welcome to bring their own lunches from home. That is absolutely fine. If your child wants to bring in a drink along with it, that's fine, but they also have the opportunity to get a milk while they're at school. What we will do is we just check their lunches, and what would happen is then you would just get charged for a milk for that day for school lunch rather than getting charged for a full lunch. So. Okay, so after that, the first part of the year, it doesn't usually last very long because our kiddos, nobody naps. So quiet time is just a time for us to kind of just relax. Sometimes what we do is we turn on like a Magic School Bus video, something a little more educational for them just to kind of watch for 15 or 20 minutes and just relax. And then from there, it will progress into more literacy learning. So we'll have more with what's called Partner Pals. So that's when I talked about the read to someone back during our blueprint and our daily 5 time. They're learning how to go through and to take turns being the teacher and being the student and practicing skills they already know, such as their letter sounds, some sight words, and later on blending words. We'll also start working on something called read to self. We really, really reinforce to the kids that everybody is a reader. Even coming in, everyone is a reader because there are different ways to read a book. You can read the story by reading the words. You can read the pictures, or if it's a story you know, you can remember it and just tell it verbally. So we really reinforce that love of reading very early on. We also do use the curriculum from Haggerty, which is a phonological awareness curriculum. And what that is that's kind of the foundation of literacy in general. So what the kids are learning with that is they're learning how to hear sounds and manipulate sounds, like within rhyming or changing the first sound in a word. Because research has proven that if they can manipulate it orally by just hearing it, they will become more successful with actually reading and writing once the letters are introduced and go along with it. And then the last thing we have in there is what is called RAP, which is another vocabulary opportunity. So it's adding more vocabulary words into their language. Did I miss anything, Mrs. Williams?
I don't think so. There's a lot of information there, but typically we go until October with our quiet time. When we realize the kids are kind of ready to move on, that's when we stop. I know last year it was around end of October. Our math curriculum, we use Everyday Mathematics. It has a mini lesson every day that we teach the kiddos. Mini lessons usually last about 10 minutes. And then after that mini lesson, we would dive into hands-on centers. There's different centers. There's an iPad center. There's a center working with the teacher. There's a center that we call tub work, where the kid, as you can see in this picture here, they are using a tub and using manipulatives to work with adding, sorting, patterns, things like that. And then usually a couple other centers apply to some of our mini lessons throughout the week. Math centers are typically we typically get through 2 to 3 centers a day after our mini lesson.
After that, well, in the afternoon, the kids usually get the opportunity to be a part of a special of some sort. So that means PE, art, or music. PE obviously usually occurs in the gym. If the weather is nice, Mr. Eaton is fantastic about getting our kids outside and doing activities and games out there with them. Then art class, we have a fantastic art teacher, Mrs. VB or Mrs. Van Buren, and she does some really awesome things with the kids in the art room. And then at this current time, our music program is on a cart. We're a little full with classrooms. So Mrs. Burns brings down her keyboard and any sort of instruments and tools that she needs to do art with the kiddos in the classroom. We are on a 3-day rotation. And we'll send home a calendar and remind you guys kind of what day it is, so you know which days to send your kiddo in PE shoes and which days, just so you guys kind of know what's going on. You will also notice on the supply list that it'll talk about PE shoes. You do not need to buy an extra set just for PE. If your kiddos have sneakers at home, those are absolutely fine. If they wear them to school, they can wear them in PE, and that is totally fine. Please do not spend the extra money on an extra pair of shoes if your kiddo does not need them. It's absolutely fine. Something else, or two other things, we also have classroom guidance and library. So your kiddo will once a week be able to check out a library book and then bring it back and check out anyone for the following week.
Snack time. Your kiddos do have snacks still in kindergarten, and what we ask is just like a contribution from parents to contribute snacks to our community snack bucket. We do ask that snacks are packaged. It has to be prepackaged, unopened. It is okay to send like fruits and things like that, but we ask that those are not cut. Those would have to be done by the teacher. Nothing homemade, and I'm sure a lot of your kiddos have gone to preschool and are familiar with those things. Teacher will request snack contributions periodically as the snack bucket runs low. We might just send a message out and say, hey, we're running low on some snacks. And we just make sure that our cupboard is stocked for the kiddos. If there is a student with an allergy, which I'm uncertain if there is one this year, if there's a student with an allergy, we would just, this last year I had when we had a different snack bucket for that kiddo where they'd be able to choose one of their snacks, or if there's a snack the whole class is having, they would be able to have it too. So we just make sure that we have an option for the kiddos that do have allergies.
And at the end of the day, so we try to end our day with what we like to call happy choices. So that's basically the opportunity that the kids get to just kind of be kids and to have free play. Mrs. Williams and I both have an array of different things in each of our classrooms. We have blocks, we have Legos, we have marbles, we have the iPads the kids would get to choose between certain apps, Barbies, just different things where the kids just get to play. So usually what happens is we end our day where the kids have snack, and when they're done with their snack, they then get to go to Happy Choice. So they usually get about 15 minutes to just kind of play at the end of the day. It allows them to kind of release and calm their bodies and just enjoy being a kid.
Things to do to help your child be ready is to read to your child daily. As Rebecca mentioned earlier, that we really encourage kiddos that it's okay that they can't read the words yet. There's 3 ways to read a book, but just making giving that love for reading for your kiddos. So when they come to kindergarten, they are familiar with how to look at books, which way a book is read, so they can look at those books when they are doing read to self and read to someone. Point to words as you read, that way they can understand the directionality of books. Review names of letters your student knows, especially the letters in their names we ask. They don't need to know all the letters, they don't need to know those things, but just kind of like to help them prepare that. And review sounds your student knows as well. We don't ask that you teach them all of their sounds or all of their letters before they come, but just to have some familiarity with it.
Something else that we ask for school readiness is, which I think a lot of your kids, like I said, that are already in preschool are doing really well with this, is having bathroom independence. So being able to use the restroom by themselves. We can totally understand when there's, snaps or buttons on pants or belts. We're happy to help with that. But trying to have them practice to see if they can try to do it on their own would be great. I guarantee you guys are all making them pros at washing their hands right now. So that's going to be a really easy thing for us this next year, because each of our classrooms have their own bathrooms and our own sinks, just like the preschool classrooms do. So that will make that a little bit easier for us to be able to do that. We also encourage you guys to having them practice zipping their coats or snapping anything that they might have. And again, we are never going to tell your kiddo, no, we're not going to help you. But the first thing we will say to them is, you try, and then I will help you if you still need help. So that is just something else that we do. And like we just talked about before, is our lunchroom independence, being able to independently carry their tray, open their milk, open bags, things like that. So a lot of skills that I know that they're probably becoming pros at right now. So
And to go along with the bathroom independence, yes, we have bathrooms in our classroom that the kiddos are absolutely can use anytime throughout the day. We also take them down to the big bathrooms periodically throughout the day and encourage everybody to try. I know in kindergarten, I've had experience with the kiddos getting so excited and forgetting to use the bathroom during the day. And then when they get home, it's like a rush to the bathroom. So we do encourage a couple times during the day, we'll take the whole class down to the bathrooms.
So a few other important things that you will see from us is a class Seesaw page. Seesaw has been kind of a godsend for us when it comes to all of this that's going on and communication. So we'll send out a lot of notices on Seesaw, and it's also a fantastic way for you guys to be able to respond back to us. We will also be obviously have a school email. You're more than welcome to email us at any point in time as well. Supplies, community supplies. So what we usually do is you will have a supply list, and what we usually do is go through and have to kind of take a mass and put things together so the kids all have things to share. This may be different for next year depending on our status with our whole pandemic right now. So if something changes with that, we will obviously share that information with you. And then our first day of kindergarten, tentatively right now, is Monday, August 24th. In past years, we had beginning of the year testing days for kindergarten, and that is not going to be happening this year. Whenever the rest of the school starts, kindergarten will also be starting as well. So it'll be one transition for everyone. Mrs. O'Leary, is there anything else you want to add to some of that information?
I guess I would just add that, we, like every other school district, are trying to figure out the best way to do reentry back into school. And we will absolutely share that out as we get things figured out. We want everybody to be safe, and we really want our students back. So we're working hard to figure out how to make that happen.
Typically there's a kindergarten roundup or visitation day. Obviously we are unable to do that this year, so we're going to skip that page. And then, so if you guys wanted to contact us, myself, my email is bwilliams@Highland Huskies, and Rebecca's is on there as well, R. Yoder, or you can call the elementary. Mrs. O'Leary, what are the hours that Miss Charlotte or you are currently at the building right now?
Miss Charlotte is usually here from 9 until 11. Mondays and Wednesdays, she is here till 12:30, but 10 to 12:30, she's busy passing out meals. So I'd say you could call, leave a message. She comes in every day. She checks her email. I check my email. I'm here a lot, but I'm often in meetings. So I don't have very good internet at home. So it's way more effective to come into school and use the internet here. But I would say Miss Charlotte in the mornings is probably your best bet.
Okay. I would say the easiest way, if you think about a question you have about kindergarten, would be through email.
I would agree.